Welcome to Same-ish Different Day, a space where the thoughts are just as
Anything.
Welcome to Same-ish Different Day, a space where everything is on the table and the thoughts are just as frenetic as your Twitter feed. And just like your feed, we kick it off with some talks on some bullshit of the day, and eventually bring you some value with well-cited research on stories you may have missed.
Yeah, this show is the long-term format of marching into madness. A duo of journalists that are developing a content project about their passions. So get ready for that.
Yeah.
Some weeks our strange wine mom drops by to keep us in line, but she's been missing for a little bit, so we don't know what's going on with that.
But
The line, please. But she recently went out for milk and a pack of bogeys, but at least that's what she told us, so we assume she's going to be back anytime now.
Oh, and socials? Socials, we're on all of them. TikTok, IG, YouTube, and Twitch, where we live stream these podcasts on a weekly basis. If you tune in, you can ride out with us afterwards.
Speaking of which, the future variant of this idiot will introduce us in 3, 2, 1. And then you just bring up the...
What's up, internets? Welcome to Same-ish Different Day, the podcast with a name that we can't say anymore, and I have to try not to get too close to the mic as I say it. This week, we wanted to focus on Dissecting, a Biopic, which is an autobiography film for people who may not be film geeks, like when you watch a movie about a person. There's a lot of them coming out lately, and we wanted to ask, what's the deal with biopics? So we just saw Harry Potter. Harry Potter just played Weird Al Yankovic. So it's almost like we're already living in VR, but disregard how trippy it is. Do we need so many movies for this many figures, or is it a cheap cash grab to make the person somewhat more relevant again, or popular in pop culture? Start there. And then I think we'll break down more, unless I'm misinterpreting the script here, sir.
No, it's good. I mean, it's up to the reader's interpretation at the same time. I think I do think it's a little bit of both. If it's done tastefully, it can actually do a good job at creating a good image for the subject. But there are cheap cash grabs out there, I believe, that aren't good at all. I saw Blondie not too long ago. That's a Marilyn Monroe biopic, and that's just, I feel like that was a little bit too much of like, oh, let's talk about a famous person, but let's do it in a weird way that doesn't really translate better to the audience. So it's like.
So the drama detracts from the story?
It's like kind of that, and it's also kind of like the person making it sort of has a factor in that, because it's like maybe their perspective is completely different than reality, and it's like how they viewed it initially. But yeah, I do think there are a lot of biopics out there in today's world that are just there for the sake of being there, like and there's some that are done good, like the Bohemian Rhapsody, I think it's called that. It's by it's the
Queen one. That's the one. If I may, that's the one that started the landslide. That's why all of these are being made, was because that was a success. So then they're like, it's Hollywood. It was a successful formula, so they copied it.
Yeah, and like everything, like, and like not every sort of like, I don't think, hot take, but I don't think we need a biopic of Elton John at the moment, but we have one. It's The Rocket Man. I saw it. It's not that good. It's okay. It's weird when the entire crew, like the entire people, like all characters agree on one thing. It's weird because rock stars don't have that life. style. They're all like hitting, but well, not rock stars, but like musicians are butting
Yeah.
heads all the time. So it's kind of weird when they're all like a cohesive vehicle, and that
Well,
doesn't. But
so if you want to get nerdy about it, I do agree with that. That's why the biopics feel run out, because the humanity of it is lost because you're
yeah,
trying to make a highlight reel of someone's life.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you'll feel
yeah.
compassion if it's a Freddie Mercury story, if it's something like unique and vintage, but you repeat the same formula to turn it into a movie enough, you're just going to follow the same hero's journey you were going to use for a different movie plot anyways, because it needs to fit within that structure.
Yeah, a hero's journey. I love that. Um, no, yeah, no, it's just like yeah, it's just because all biopics I think are shot the same way now for some reason. There's that the humble beginnings, the rise to stardom, the butting heads with their old life and the new life, and then their demise, and then it's like their second up and coming thing where except for the Bohemian where he dies of AIDS. Spoiler alert: Freddie Mercury isn't alive anymore.
So
Like,
it's
quick
it's
Google.
all the biopic genre is fueled by archetypes made by the Facebook movie and the Bohemian Rhapsody. Those are the two that influenced what we see it as to this day, I would say.
What about that one movie, the Mark Wahlberg one?
Wahlberg.
The Wahlberg, the one that came out in the '90s, like the Rockstar, I think it's called.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, like you could, yeah, you could pay biopic attributions to a lot of people over time. I guess that was short sighted of me to say. I would
Yeah,
say in the modern era, those are the two everyone's trying to copy. But you're right. You're
yeah.
right. You even think of like the Sting mockumentary and all that shit.
I didn't even know there was a Sting one. It was weird how we don't even have a Michael Jackson one.
There's got a Michael Jackson biopic. They're not ready for it. You got to give it another 5 to 10 years. Someone's producing it in Hollywood right now. I bet you though.
We're getting a Whitney Houston one already.
I think that's you get into deep music industry politics because I'm sure the dad and the Jackson Five don't want to sign off on their portrayal of the early years. You know what I
Maybe.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I watched those tapes a couple years ago.
The dad
He's
was one of those.
beating
Yeah, the dad used to
beating.
beat him. There's the same things
Yeah.
with Tiger Woods, right? It's like sometimes these people who achieve greatness had to go through some shit to like
Yeah. Honestly.
become the best.
And there's that one on Disney Plus where it's like Tommy Lee Jones and Pamela Anderson's biopic. I forget what
Yeah.
it's called. But that stuff like there's enough going around those two individuals where you don't need they're not old and I there has to be like I may sound like dumb here but I feel like there should be a cutoff point where you start you shouldn't be in your mid 50s and making a biopic about you, right?
So
You
you
still
need
have
like biopic journalistic standards. We need to set like you need to reach these criteria to be
yeah,
famous enough and
alive
old
enough.
enough,
Yeah.
right? Like imagine if someone made a Steve-O biopic, you know what I mean? It's gonna happen probably.
Probably after yeah. Or even before he
Just
hit
recreating the butt chug, and then that's the way you get all the. Oh yeah! Oh my God! I'm giving someone $1 million idea. I need to shut up.
Jackass, I believe, is the first biopic or the first Steve-O biopic, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong.
it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be done over.
Yeah, we have it there. No, but it's just like, yeah, it's like half of these biopics are like there for the sake of like, yeah, you can celebrate a man's or a person's life, but you don't need to like. I go back to Elton John. You don't need to have a biopic of him yet. He's still kicking. He's still doing stuff. His story hasn't ended. He's still making money. He's still being a platinum star, right? Why are
Yeah,
we doing like when he when he dies, it's gonna be the Rocket Man 2, the continuation of that. They're gonna make a sequel, if they do that, I think I just gave Hollywood an idea too.
Oh yeah.
Make sequels. If
They
yeah,
were just
I feel
I
like
went to the movies recently and they were advertising there's a Bowie one coming out as well.
it has to do with one of his nicknames.
Yeah. And no, it already came out and we're so over it's a good point of how overwhelmed we are. It's called
Yeah.
Stardust and it came out in 2020.
Oh, who plays him?
Johnny Flynn.
So
Johnny Flynn is from Lovesick, Beast, Song 1, he seems to be a theater actor. They
oh,
seem to be.
this guy.
Les Miserables, the Les
This
Mis,
guy.
Les Mis.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why.
I've seen him in stuff before. He does not look like fucking David Bowie. He does not look at all like David Bowie. And like, it's just another thing. Like, I haven't seen it, but the Elvis Presley biopic,
Yeah.
like, that's another one. See, that's okay. I find because there's enough time that has happened. Now there's a new generation. Like, Elton John is still making music. We know kids know who he is, right? You don't need a biopic for that. Maybe in a couple years from now you can have one, but it's like
But where's the
some
line? That's where I'm not calling you out, but that's like such a slippery slope. You know what I mean?
I I guess it's like
How do you because
75
Paul McCartney's still alive. So what? You can't make a thing on the Beatles. What about Across the Universe?
across the universe. Isn't that
Across the
the
Universe is a lot of classic rock people love it as like because it's a cross between a musical and a fucking Beatles movie.
I thought it was it was a straight up like like I is it like is it considered a biopic or is it just a different like a on its own?
Okay, maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. I will secede. Hold on, let's see. Across the Universe.
But sure, Paul McCartney has been around long enough where let's fucking I don't think he's like doing anything anymore, so let's fucking put let
Okay, it's a musical
fucking
drama. It's a drama. It's a
it's a music.
drama.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like I'm sure we can make a movie about the Beatles now. There's been movies about separate Beatles, but not about them, right? So I think the line is like I'd assume like after they have gone out of the circle of relevancy.
I got my underrated one for later, but sorry, I got too excited. I got way too excited.
Okay. Yeah, but I think it's just like at the time outside of uh unrelevance when it feels right that can come up to the creator like the Queen movie it needed to happen because it needed to show a whole new generation about Queen because they're not really well he's dead but it's also kind of interesting because there's been no Nirvana one too. I would be interested in seeing how
Politics again. Courtney Love's holding the yeah.
Damn it, Courtney Love.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even like Nirvana. I'd just be interested who would play.
How soon do you think they're gonna make an XXX Tentacion or Juice World one? How many years? How many years do you give it?
If I'm a betting man, I want to say 2 more.
Yeah,
Unless
it's a good bet.
politics is involved with them. Unless there's like their baby mama is holding on to those rights and stuff.
Yeah, I do know too. I know some of that, but that's too deep. We don't need to get get too nerdy there.
There's the Tupac one, which was not good, by the way.
So the underrated one, the one that went under the radar because it was this era of everyone pumping out biopics, is they did the Jimi Hendrix one. Jimi Hendrix and Andre 3000 played Jimmy, and it was fire. I liked it, but no one watched it. No one ever watched it. He did a great job acting. The music scenes were fun, and it was very human.
Oh, Jimmy. It's called Jimmy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I saw trailers of this back in the day.
It wasn't that
I don't know.
bad, but it was
Guess
just everyone had already seen way too many biopic movies. There was something fire that came out at the same time.
the
Um,
Avengers, I think.
it's got terrible ratings on IMDb, so maybe it was a bad movie, and I'm remembering it too positively because I was watching a
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix movie.
No, but yeah, it's just and I just had one too. It's just like I don't know like the time frame, but I think like it has to feel right
So
and it
then
has to
that
be done
part,
right.
I'm rewording the question you have from your script here. Then is like it's been made about celebrities, as you're pointing out, of people who don't really have like a specific degree of impact. So like how
Yeah.
much impact do you have to have made? Because you're saying you need to reach a degree, then I think like cultural impact would be a good measurable
Yeah.
quantity
Yeah.
for that. But how do you
Like
how do you compare why, because Elton's still kicking, so Elton doesn't get one, but Elvis is dead, even though Elvis would be still able to play. So we can't do a Bruce Springsteen one because he's still alive. But we could
yeah.
do a Bruce Springsteen one about him in the 80s. But no, not yet because he's still alive. You know what I mean? It's a slippery
Yeah.
slope.
Well, again, like I'll go back to what I said. It has to feel right about the timing of it all. Like, sure, obviously you can do one of people that are alive, but like it has to be at a point in at their career where it can be told, right? If they're still going strong, if they're still making music, they still have a story to tell, right? Ultimately, you want to wait till they're out of gas, and then maybe then,
Out of gas, so you have to judge
yeah.
who's out of gas based on their cultural impact. That's a hard rating. If I have to know that my deeds are judged by a Raza one day, I was like,
Thank God
did
we
you
aren't doing that.
impact culture?
Yeah, I feel like people who make like if you make a biopic, it has to be about like somebody who's like impactful in the grand scheme of things, like Freddie Mercury, what he did, right? That's a big thing.
Someone one day will write a video about our antics on the internet, Raza, and I would hope
It,
it's as shining a resume
it won't be.
as as Notorious B.I.G.'s biopic.
Yeah, I think he had one too,
They
right?
used to play
I'm
that shit
pretty
on
sure.
BET back in the day, and
The one that's weird that sticks out for me that I like, it's actually kind of done well, and I don't I don't know if it takes any sides in it because I don't know too much about the history. It's Straight Outta Compton. That's like the only one where I feel like it's not it's like a weird sort of narration or like a
it's a good middle ground. It's a good middle ground
yeah
all around. There's holes you can poke in any biopic, but overall, it was fairly honest to the story. But again, it's the same thing that I started with. You're going to have to structure it into the hero's journey, so the nuances are going to get lost. The human, you could be honest that Eazy-E struggled with this disease, but you can't add the context or color because you need to fit it into a 2.5 hour movie.
yeah. But you should do series of biopics. There's just like year 0 to 10 is part one, and then the next part is 10 to 20. And
Supposedly, that's the Wu Tang one on Amazon Prime is supposed to be like that, the Wu Tang
oh,
one. But I haven't
oh,
watched it either myself.
the Wu Tang one.
Yeah, they have a Wu Tang Clan biopic kind of series on Amazon Prime where Ice Cube's son plays Method Man, if I'm correct.
Oh yeah, and Ice Cube's son also plays him in Straight
Yep.
Outta Compton. Ice Cube's son is in a lot of things now.
Oh, after he did Straight Outta Compton, that skyrocketed all those actors, bro. They
Yeah.
got
Well, also
popping.
because of Daddy. Also because of Daddy. Your daddy helped out with that too.
They also got Dre. You got a Dre cosign by all of them. So that's like everyone's getting automatic acting roles.
Yeah. He was in
So I
he was
got
in
I
this
got to
movie I just saw. Yeah.
get
Oh,
it
go
get it
on.
out first. Oh no,
No,
me
no,
first.
no.
Okay.
I
That
can't.
pop my pop quiz one is I because I was a rugby boy is it was called Invictus and it was a Clint Eastwood directed film with
Oh, is
Morgan
that?
Freeman
Yeah, I
playing
saw it.
Nelson Mandela.
Rugby. Oh no, isn't Matt Damon
Matt
in that?
Damon is the rugby
Yeah.
player, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
Morgan Freeman is Nelson Mandela. So
No.
You're
There's been
saying
many
they
Nelson
have to
Mandela
run out of.
movies.
So you're saying they have to run out of steam. Nelson Mandela is still alive. Should they have made the movie?
Nelson Mandela is not alive.
Isn't he? This is the whole debate of the fucking Mandela effect, and this is why everyone gets it wrong.
He died like a couple years ago.
But so he was alive when the movie came out,
Movie was
wasn't he?
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's great. He was alive when the movie was out. So
I
this
get-
doesn't
I-
pass the Raza rule.
No, because I don't know, because like I think it's different because for musicians and then humanitarian icons, it's sort of like I don't because like they have a movie about they have like the movie they have a movie about Bush, right? So I think it's just like you're for like people, not like artists and whatnot, not celebrities, but for people, I think you're able to do it. It's easier to do it for them because you can tell when they're like in the shits and they're not in the shits anymore, which is their whole career. And I think there has been many biopics on Nelson and Mandela, each depicting a
You're
certain
probably
aspect
correct. You're
of,
probably correct.
of his, I don't.
I'm definitely not
they're
going to
like
argue that one.
I've seen like the what's the one the what's who's George Bush's vice president, Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I saw his biopic. It's good, but like I think it's different for them because it's shown after their time. So like you can do biopics on people like that at a certain moment in history because they impacted that moment, right?
Continue. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah,
I
they
agree.
impacted. But like for artists, it's kind of hard to do because it's the impact. Their impactness transcends decades rather than a specific moment in time. Like for Freddie Mercury, he didn't just it wasn't just about like him being an openly gay man in
See, but
in
then
his
so that means you need to make different genre categories for when biopic films can be made because music is always going to be timeless.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying because
Okay.
it transcends their impact
So,
transcends time. Whereas somebody like Nelson Mandela, it's easy to do a biopic for important moments in his life because he impacted those moments. Probably not overall, but just those specific moments in time.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm following. What the shocker that I got here, I was looking up the greatest biopics of all time. You ready for the shocker I got? Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh yeah, for like Caucasian people. It's fucking sick.
And
You guys
Goodfellas
love
is cheating. Schindler's
Goodfellas.
List kind of
Wait,
counts.
wait, no, Goodfellas. I thought that was based on a book,
Yeah, well,
which could be based
they
on
were
somebody's
real.
life.
Yeah, they were real people,
Yeah.
but the book is already a
Okay.
draw. To put that's kind of unfair, but they even
I
have number
guess.
9, Braveheart. Does that count to you?
Yeah.
Doesn't count to me as a Scotsman.
Wow. All right, Bayley. You don't want to have independence, man. Why doesn't it count?
He wasn't a Jesus figure. That's not how it worked. It was like very political. It was like we don't want the oppression of like imperial England in our sovereign
So that
territory.
wouldn't translate to audiences. They got to make it palpable.
They gotta whitewash it.
Yeah,
We can't show that Scotsmen had their own culture. No, we're all make Mel Gibson sexier.
yeah. Put them in blue.
They missed
I'm
out
gonna
on the
watch that.
opportunity. They were supposed to be totally naked in blue. That's supposedly what they did. They could have had a naked Mel Gibson right in their movie.
I think I'm just gonna agree with you here, but I think they have to make it sort of like rated. They can't just be like a bunch of naked dudes on screen.
Nah.
running at each other.
You know they're
Was it
already
in the
putting in that
80s?
much. It's practical effects. It's a lot cheaper than costume design. You just paint everyone's butts.
And and, and then putting that through the rating board, like we can't show this. This is literally Mel Gibson's cockerel right there. We can't physically show this, guys.
Painted butts. Do they count as
Painted
clothes?
clothes. I mean, I don't. I'm glad my people don't have many movies made about them. But it's all just the same thing.
Miss Marvel.
I mean,
Okay,
Miss Marvel does work to a degree.
There you go. There you go. Raza, give him your summary of partition in 30 seconds or less.
Partition was when the Indian people and Muslims fought, and that's how Pakistan was created. If you want to watch the whitewash version of that, just watch Miss Marvel. It's totally one for white people to understand what happened. They're on trains.
All right. Ad breaks, kid. Ad break. Hey, my supervisor sent me over here. He said you're looking for a podcast that had a manual transmission, 4-wheel drive, and 2 idiots hosting it. Yeah, you came to the right place. But the one thing is, you're gonna have to stay here. There might be an air filter problem. It's probably gonna cost you $500 more than you anticipated in the long run, and it's not gonna be perfect every week. But you know what? You stick around, you might have a good piece of product. So, truly, sincerely, if you've been listening to us, there's been ups and downs. This is double feature episode itself. I'm editing late, so thank you for sticking around. Just downloading this is all we ask for. Thank you. See you soon.
Don't go in there. Don't open.
Don't do it. Someone told me I should do keyboard ASMR. You see how I pound them keys, bro? Don't you think those would look good in slow motion? Little macro shot of my fingies.
It sounds sort of like, to me, it's like it's just you smashing the keys, so it's more stressful than or relieving. Because I'm like, are you angry at the keyboard or what?
I guess I did all this work to get it out of my microphone, so I doubt I want to do ASMR keyboard work.
Okay, I'm glad you don't want to tap into another oversaturated market.
Yeah, you see, mine would be sexual though. I would put sexy dresses on my hands.
Why?
Don't ask. That's not part of the conversation here. Okay,
I feel like
so
it should be. Commenting, why is he doing it like this? Why doesn't he can't just do it like normal hands? Like, sir, I'm the artist. Don't critique the artist. I'm never wrong. And they're like, I'm gonna unsubscribe you.
Hand keenies, bro. Hand keenies. You're missing out.
Or hand jobs.
No. Hand keenies.
Head jobs, but for hands.
But that's harder. That'd be a lot of work. You could just repurpose like boxing wraps. There you go. Done.
Yeah.
Easy product.
And make it all black, and then there you go. I'm allowed to make that joke. So Bayley, makes it, guys.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
I shut up after the first suggestion. I was like, I'm gonna not go past that point.
So, and there's one called a cob, and then one's a hijab. It comes in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah. So this week, everybody, we're back. TikTok section for those just tuning in on the edited version. What's up? What we do, we're breaking down a news story each. First, Bebe here. I'm gonna talk about one that I brought, and it's a little local, but I think it might have some international implications. So, Bebe wanted to talk about Toronto's taxis bring up an intriguing point. This one's a little local, but could have larger implications. Beck Taxi, one of Toronto's OG taxi providers, says that the rise in untrained commercial drivers is a risk to driver safety across the board. So this is like vehicles for hire as well as logistics drivers. You see all those Amazon dudes out there in the vans delivering packages with just a high vis on. They didn't have to take no test to drive that van. They just gave him the keys to this guy and said, okay, good luck. So currently, taxis still undergo an official registration process with checks and paying the city of Toronto. Yet, even me, door dashing, you want to get going, you just sign up through the app, you show up, they give you a bag, and they say, good luck, kid. They don't check your insurance and nothing. You just say, I got a bike, I got a car, I want to drive. It's interesting because I thought this debate had fizzled out, and I'm sure many of you did as well. And with the cycle it made in the mainstream news, I think this might actually have interesting implications internationally as people start to reference maybe training for drivers who are operating these commercial services. Now, Raza, Uber, like many tech companies, came in on a wave of disruption, but is still struggling for financial viability while pushing responsibility onto the drivers and the consumer. Do you think the Uber pyramid could ever collapse?
Yeah, I got it now. I got it. I was like, I have a thought. Right. Because I've seen it online that like Uber. I do think the Uber pyramid may collapse on itself because it's like the the drivers are trying to become like want to become more safer when they drive because Uber drivers don't have the same sort of like rules that normal taxi drivers do. They're not unionized and everything, so they have to abide by Uber's very weird, very gig economy law, which it's not if that's not a viable way to make money, and that's going in the long run. Yeah, Uber is gonna hemorrhage more money, but uh like the Uber's whole thing at like initially was like yeah it's like affordable I think at the start, but then when you as it grows it starts to it becomes this like uh the the drivers
Bottom
aren't
falls out. Yeah.
yeah and also the drivers aren't making much money and Uber itself is making a lot of money. So I think the first because I've seen it like Uber drivers have been asking to unionize. So that's one of the first cracks in the base of the pyramid. If start there, and then like
Yeah.
the more complicated it gets, the bigger Uber becomes, the wider the crack becomes. So I think it is going to collapse on itself, but I don't know when or it how it how it'll be.
I think if it were to collapse, it would be through some sort of like corporate scheme that we're seeing with FTX or these crypto bros. I think in some way the financial ends would fall out. But because it's such an essential service, they're going to create a reason for angel
Yeah,
investors to give them $50 million if they really need it.
exactly. Yeah, Uber has made it like that. We sort of need it,
So
right?
that's why I found it very interesting that the taxi company was like, okay, switch perspectives rather than bitch about us not having jobs. How about be like, why don't we all take the same test? You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah,
fair. I was like, it's
including
not a bad argument. That's not a bad
including
argument.
including Uber drivers or just taxi
Yeah.
people.
Taxi
Okay.
drivers, Uber drivers, everyone has to take a vehicle for hire competency tests. I even verified by going on the City of Toronto Taxi Medallion website and double checked, and they have to complete the same test as well as do the taxi driver stuff.
Yeah, I think yeah, and then
But right now, you
also I
can do
think
the test in an hour online, and it's like getting your smart serve online, bro. I can go Google all the answers while I'm doing it.
oh fine. I think it's like because Uber operates outside of that thing. It operates outside of the traditional taxi thing, and so do the Amazon
Yeah.
drivers. So because this is for I guess yeah, because they're all for hire too, but they're also not at the same time.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's why it's a
yeah,
it's a tricky it's classifications for vehicles, and it's similar in most countries. Actually, North America specifically, South America. Not so much Europe, but because unless it's a big truck, it doesn't count. Like you drive one of those little mail vans that drop off all the Amazon packages in our neighborhoods. You could have just gotten your license. You could have been 18, fresh. You just got the license. You can drive one of those
Yeah.
trucks. But who knows? You don't know
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
drive around in the city on a two-way street and deal with tight parking lots and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know.
Toronto parking specifically. Yeah. So I think that's like, yeah, it just it's a free test, I assume, right? Yeah. So if it's a free test, then why not?
So that's like the taxi drivers are saying not only do we want it improved, we want money in return. We want $50,000 in damages to our vehicles from this, and we want you to make a better test, a test that you actually like have to go to, whether it's in person or that they monitor that you're doing it.
Man, taxi drivers should just go through it. No, I'm kidding. I don't. Yeah, I don't know too much about this, but like I feel like if that makes it because uh, it'll weed out the bad drivers, and then you will get less accidents from these people. So yeah, but I don't think Uber wants to do that because that like it would mean it would it would be like wait that's all of our workforce. So we don't want to. I'm not saying anything about Uber. All right, I use Uber,
See,
so
the bigger
uh,
issue is like the city. Then the city has to hire people to do the tests or figure out a structure for said tests.
yeah.
Uber
Or
is like,
people.
whatever, we got a big enough legal department. Fuck y'all, we'll take the test. Maybe the logistics companies will be like, oh shit, now we gotta, homie, you just came here. And I'm not being biased towards it. I'm very supportive of these people having these jobs. But homie who just immigrated here 2 years ago, just got his license. I was about to give him a job driving his van, but he doesn't know English so well, so he's not gonna pass this
Yeah,
test now.
yeah. They should make it accessible to everybody. That's how our driver's test is. You can take it in any different language. I think,
Ideally,
right?
but then again, the city's got to make that.
Um, let's just combine the MTO with whatever
There
this is, and then there you go. Problem solved. Just do it
you
that
go.
way.
National driver
Yeah,
services. That's it. Easy.
exactly. I mean, Europe has that, right?
Some countries, I don't know which ones though.
Yeah,
Some of them do. Yeah, we're different province to province. So you can get your learner's permit at 14 in Alberta.
Alberta. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's again, Canada is a bad example for this because there should be one law straight across. There shouldn't be an MTO or shouldn't be like a whatever Alberta's equivalent is. There should be like Canada's driving law. It's
According to
all
your
uniform.
goddamn politics.
Yeah. Imagine if an Albertan driver
Sorry, I
comes
had to.
over to Ontario and goes, it's like, oh, back in my province, we don't drive. It's like, no shit, we're in Ontario. Obviously, you don't drive that. The rules are different.
Bruh, I
We have
tried
to
to,
like,
because I tried to do it legally, not be a sketch bag. And I was like, okay, if I want to get a car and bring it from Alberta to Ontario, how do I do the insurance? And it's a nightmare. A
yeah, I can imagine.
fucking nightmare to bring cars province to province because we're so skitter scattered everywhere. But we're getting
Yeah.
so Canada specific now.
Why don't we just do it all like just Canada, just doing one whole uniform thing? It'll be easy.
They finally did that with traffic tickets in Canada, and I have a family member who got doinked because of that because they
Oh,
were they were
obviously
back in
traffic
the
tickets.
day.
Obviously traffic tickets, but not the things that actually help us.
Yeah, the things where the police get the money, that's the one they're gonna
Yeah,
do first. They're gonna
yeah.
nationalize. All right, Raza, what do you have for us today?
A little bit of gaming news. Gaming is getting more expensive, but if you're poor, sucks to suck. Get your money up, as they say. If you follow gaming news or anything remotely gaming, then you will have seen the writings on the wall, and you've also been hiding under a rock if you haven't been. Games are getting more expensive now, specifically Xbox games. They're going from $70 to $80 USD, but for us, $80 to $90 CAD. Xbox head Phil Spencer has said the first party games will jump up in price. So like Halo Infinite Forza Horizon, and Gears of War. All those games will get a little bit more expensive. However, this gives it an incentive to hop onto Game Pass, which is Xbox's subscription service, meaning pay once and you get a wide catalog. And then on top of that, members get a discount. So the $90 CAD may not apply to members of Game Pass. So the price hike won't kick off till next year. Microsoft has said they want people to enjoy the holiday gift of gaming, whatever that means. It's still rather expensive to buy an Xbox Series X if you can find one, and games in Canada still cost $90 with tax. I bought God of War Ragnarok. Guess how much it cost me? $90 with tax. So
Wow.
we're getting shafted here. Yeah. This was hinted months ago. In October, Phil Spencer said they are going to be increasing the price of their first-party games, but in the new year, and now it's here. And on top of that, the developers have asked for this to happen. So, I mean, not so, but even also the smaller developers have asked for it to happen. So, the gaming landscape will change. It's more expensive now, but you know, first-party games, by the way, only. If you really care about Halo, Gears of War, or Forza, or all that stuff, this may hit you hard. And I'll ask you, can you play more games, man? There's a wide plethora of games out there. Those aren't the only 3 games. So that's my whole thing. Oh, questions.
My first thing is like the indie developers one, right? Like I could see how indie developers are for it because things like Game Pass are coming out. So they're getting fucked with their ability to like make money off of the Steam marketplace. So I could kind of see how smaller people are accidentally getting caught up in like, yeah, we need to charge more because I need to actually pay my employees.
Yeah, I think that's why they're asking. I don't know the nitty gritty, but I think that's why they're saying maybe we should be charging more for games. Well, let's hop over to the questions and find out. Shall we?
All right.
Okay, so since Xbox first party games are getting more expensive, will they turn you away from playing the Halo Infinite campaign on Xbox or PC because it's a first party game?
So like you're asking if I should boycott it because I don't like this structure? Is that what's kind of going down
I'm
here?
asking.
You're asking
I'm
TikTok?
no, I'm asking if this will turn you away from playing those or buying those games and playing them.
I don't think so.
So
It
you're okay paying
should.
$90?
Well, what? So you're saying like if they take it off it, would I still pay? Is that I'm
No,
lost. I'm lost. I'm blowing it. I'm sorry.
I'm asking since the prices are increasing, would you still pay to play these
Mm.
first party games like the full price?
Personally, no, because I would rather support a small creator. I'd rather go to Steam and spend my money there. But since I'm a shill and Game Pass is here and it's affordable, I'm like, I'll do
Yeah.
this for now.
So next thing, will you invest more in Game Pass?
Yes.
Because of the discounts. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, obviously. I saw some deals, bro. Well, their membership is crazy. We get like 20, 30, 40% off of new games. It's insane.
Yeah, you could still
Man.
own them. It's still pretty interactive. Steam's really lacking. They're hurting by not doing this.
Well,
But I
the Steam
understand how
sales,
it's a lot of logistics. Microsoft has an
I know.
infinite amount of money, and it's a large department to manage all that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this in general, I don't think we have anybody, but like in general, from not having Game Pass, will this sort of like, or an Xbox, will this sort of like deter you away even further from getting, like from buying games in general, not just Game Pass, but like in general?
I'm cheap, so the high price tag would scare me away heavily.
I mean, most gamers are cheap. Like right now the two most popular games right now are Warzone and Overwatch 2. And guess what? They're free to play.
Yeah,
So
and the where my bias comes in, I know I've got sources to leverage. Afro, you, Chatter, everyone I know is like deep into that community. I can be like, all right, just tell me what's good, and I'll pay the affordable rate for something that's 4 years old instead of the $90 to play
yeah,
fucking 2142.
there's a tip out there. I mean, a little bit of advice for you guys out there. A friend introduced me to this. There's a site out there called isthereanydeal.com. Make an account and it'll alert you when there's a deal on a game you want. Get that? I have it. I'm getting emails every day of which game I want, and you can also customize the the discount to like 30% off, 40% off, or whatever. It gives you super creative control. Well, not creative, but it gives you control of how you like what game you want. Friggin' that Stray game, I picked it up off of
Hmm.
because of the alerts for about $15. You think I mean, it's an indie developer, but I'm not paying $40 to play a game about a cat. Yeah.
Come on, support the cat developers.
They're getting all the money. There's also a difference between Steam and Epic. Epic does a bigger payout than Steam, so they're getting that Epic cash at the same time. And then Xbox isn't the only one doing this. PlayStation has increased their PS5. Now PS5 is now the most expensive console now. Now it's I think $700 for like the disc one and
Hmm.
$500 for a discless one. But many developers have been vocal about this increase. They kind of want this increase because with all these services, as you said, they lose money on these services, so it makes sense for a game to be more expensive in order to get some of that money back. Overall, do you think it'll owning a console or even PC gaming will be like, oh, it's getting kind of too expensive. I'm gonna pick and choose what games I paid $90 for now.
I think it will because unfortunately, I think all these tech companies are right that they're pushing us towards streaming in many different capacities. And I think this is one of them. It's kind of like VR, right? Like Meta's taking the jump right into it. There's a lot of tech companies putting their hats in the ring now. I think very similarly, they're going to want to push us consumers to not care about the console but be already subscribed to a subscription basis, because then, oh wow, look, now you can stream any Xbox game to your phone. You fuck it, you're already subscribed to us. They're all
Mhm.
trying to beat each other to the punch, so I think very much it will influence the way that people consume the games and whether or not you have a console.
Yeah, I think that's it's it's gonna like change because like yeah because like if they see a game $90 you're gonna be like okay I'm gonna wait till it's either on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or whatever and then play it because it's all about it's all about yeah it's all about pushing people on a service like look at us you and I are only playing Warhammer games because it's gonna be or it's on Game Pass, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, well, I think you answered this one, but in turn, I mean, well, as gaming gets more expensive, uh, will you invest more in these services like Game Pass? Will you get PlayStation now if it comes to PC?
I think I'm cheap enough I might stick to one or two. I like the dichotomy of Game Pass and Steam right now so that I can support what I want and build a library on Steam and then also have my subscription service.
Mhm,
I'm trying to,
mhm.
I'm kind of treat Steam as my CD rack, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. No, yeah, no, like yeah, it just yeah. To me, Game Pass and the service gives an option. If you can't play, if you don't want to play $90 for God of War, and if it's on there, there you go, right? You just You just don't own the game.
Yeah, like that was even I paid for Monster Hunter World, and I was like, okay, I'll deal with this because it was on a sale for
Yeah.
what Raza showed. It was like $5, $10. So that's when I'm like, okay, it's several years old. Then I'll purchase this. It stays in my library. Now I own it. Now I don't have to worry about if it's on the subscription service. But if the game's so relevant and new that I don't have to worry about it disappearing for any libraries just yet, then I'm not really going to stress out about so much paying the top ticket value for it. Say Jedi Fallen Order, I'm like, I know it's going to be there. I'm going to be able to play it for free for at least another year.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's $6.
Yeah, it's true. It's good value. It's good value. I'm not critiquing that. It is very good value. It's very good value.
And then the new game coming out in March, I'm fucking buying it. I'm absolutely pre-ordering that. Fucking, I'm gonna get it on console though.
I'm interested to see how they weave it into all the shows because it's definitely going to happen. He's going to run into the Mando in the video game. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I just think that's yeah. No, it's just like what Xbox is doing. They aren't really worried about. This is like an option they're making, and I think they want to push people further into their ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
It isn't because now you can play the Xbox games on phones, older Xbox Ones, PCs now, and everything. So yeah, you can pay like $90, or you can pay $15 a month.
Mhm.
$15 a month
And
and get that game plus 1,000 more.
And I think that's the Steam contrast as suggestions are giving, right? Is like Steam isn't inviting you into an ecosystem. So as much as Steam sales and their marketing and their platform can be successful, they're not indoctrinating people to using their service primarily.
Aren't they
Steam isn't
on
trying to hypnotize you to spend all your time on
streaming
Steam.
service?
Steam's just trying to say, here, play your video games. Whereas Xbox is like, no, go inside our app. This is where you download the game. This is where you hit play on the game. This is where you do this. This is where you socialize with your friends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can say that. But like, I'm pretty sure Steam is also kind of like experimenting right now with a streaming service. Yeah. I think like as much as we like, I personally don't think Steam. I think Steam and Epic Games are like on the equal playing field. They both give great deals. They both have a plethora of games out there. But like and it's up to the user which one they like the most. But I think it's I think at one point or another, what we're talking about is all going to become a like it's in either Steam ecosystem, Microsoft's ecosystem. It's all we aren't going to own big chunks of like we still will have these plastic boxes, but it won't be like how we see them. It'll be like something you just plug in.
Yeah, it's a stream. It'll be a streaming device. It'll be like Roku's. They'll pretty much be Roku's.
Yeah, yeah. And it like what Microsoft is doing, fucking partnering up with TV companies. You can just play Game Pass games without paying for a PC or paying for a console. You just buy the TV and bam, comes with a console, or it comes with a controller, and that's all you need to do. So that's ultimately what I think would happen.
I agree. I'm with you there. I think overall times are changing, and I think we're in a very unstable period as we transition into the next form of media as a whole, because we're all learning how to interact with Web 3.0, and we're watching crypto collapse around us as Elon takes a stranglehold on the Twitter.
Yeah.
Now we have a commercial break. Now we have a commercial break. Yeah, it's all fake money. It's all made up. It was all a lie. It was all a lie.
Yeah.
It was a lie. Radio ad Bayley here. You ever seen a TikTok? We make them. You watch them come through. We got them. Lots of them. Some of them. All kinds of them. Look at these goods. Please. Thank you for watching.
You figured me out. You got me red-handed. You got me red-handed.
All right, whatever. Okay. Welcome back. We're back to.
I still am part 2. Don't worry.
Oh God, we're back to the submitted news section. This one was another one taken from people around me. I had a couple inputs on the side, shady side deals of people asking me, how did the crypto collapse? Like, what happened afterwards? Raza did a good explanation. If you didn't see it a few episodes ago, everyone's like, what? Did the guy did he go to jail? Is what everyone wants to know. Did he go to jail?
He's apparently down to his 100. The last news piece I read about him, he's down to his last $100,000.
He's got some stuff hidden in banks. I almost guarantee it, because get this, he comes from a background called effective altruism, where he was raised in an evangelist community where they hoisted him up as like their Elon golden child. Like, this guy is smart. He's going to be a genius. And so he claims that he came from nothing, but he has a support of an entire church and deranged evangelist community behind him as like a golden child genius that was meant to solve all the economic problems for Christians in America. And that's not a lie. That's his backstory. Okay. So
you saying that makes me question this entire thing now.
Now, I very much support if you want to have Christianity and your values and your religion and your church, but it's called effective altruism. So you know the extremes of utilitarianism. So like, say, you got the train tracks, right? You got the people. You can either stop the train, save the people, or kill the people. Which one do you do? They believe in that to the extreme, that you should operate all of your life on that. So this was the values, these evangelical values were the founding for his running of FTX, because he sat there and thought, even if it screws other people over, even if crypto isn't the most effective thing at first, I will be revolutionizing the economy for the best altruistic benefit. And that was the foundation of why he did all of this, because even if it wasn't thoroughly thought out, he still felt and was empowered to believe that he could literally shift the economics of America.
He thinks he's Jesus?
In a way, yes.
Oh my God.
Because of Christian evangelist cultists.
I feel like that's like a blasphemy there. I feel like this is very like blasphemous. This is you're using like the religion for a completely different and evil reason. Sorry, Bayley. You have questions. I didn't mean to.
That's okay. You already got there. That's all right. We're going to the similar point. Because the elite just keep skating by. Like, one of the examples, speaking of the StarCraft on screen, I didn't do this on purpose. He was praised because he was sitting in meetings often and playing League of Legends during his FTX meetings or his big business meetings. Yeah. They thought he was a super genius. Not that he's scamming you and he's not listening to you and doesn't give a fuck about what you have to say.
He just needs to get that lane down in League.
So, hold down the lane. Right. But
imagine him doing that in a business meeting. They're like, what is he doing?
He's just yelling on his fucking gamer headset at the same time. Odds are he goes to prison. What was it, 50-20? What do you think? What's your split on him going to prison?
I'm not too familiar with the thing, but if it was did he defraud people? Is that a proven?
He
back, or
didn't
are they still?
defraud people, but so the specific thing that FTX did is they said the one thing that we do is what banks don't. When you give us your money, we don't take it and invest it in other things. We just hold on to your money. And it turns out this entire time he was funneling the money to his other company, and that company was reinvesting it into shit.
Oh, so that's illegal.
No,
Pretty
because
sure.
his company wasn't lying. It was Alameda Research. It's a research agency. So they weren't buying other companies' coins. They were investing in
Yeah.
the research and development of the crypto economy.
Was the people who invested the money told about this?
No, because the money was funneled from
So it's illegal.
the
It's
transaction
illegal.
server.
It's illegal. Illegal. If you're not going to tell your investors what's going on, you're doing a shady business deal.
Super
Yeah,
PACs fund
research.
politicians. It doesn't mean it was the Super PAC's fault. It just happened that I funded that candidate for
That
political research.
also not legal too, but it's not to happen. Uh, um, so yeah, I think he would face jail time if justice is real in America, which I don't know if it is or not, but I he should. I think he should, but I don't know if he will, because if he's
Okay.
able to skirt by with and victimize himself, which I've seen in like the news stories, he's like, feel sorry for me. I'm broke now. Not really. I have $100,000 to my name. And
He owns a mansion in Bermuda. These evangelist people share money. So he says he has $100,000 to his name, but he got here because he didn't spend anything to get there. His whole family went to Yale. He went to MIT. That you have to come from family money if you go there. So if he says he has $100,000, daddy's got another 100,000 ready to go. And who knows what's in daddy's crypto wallet, fam? I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but
do you think Daddy's is in the crypto game, knowing that his son is his son's, who's the biggest crypto stock exchange, has filed for bankruptcy? Do you think
in
his
case
daddy is now like
in case
like
anyone clips me for Reddit, I'm going to say it's purely speculation, but 100%
okay.
that they pulled the same scheme that other millionaires pull of you put shit in your family's name, right? I don't need to have $100 million Bitcoin in my name when I can just get my dad, hey dad, you know what? I'm going to split up some transactions. You'll make some residuals. I'll make you $2,000 a month if I can make a fucking wallet in your name. Your uncle's going to say yes to that. Your cousin's going to say yes to that. It's not even that sketchy. It's not even like, oh, it's at corporate espionage. You're just like, oh, hey man, let me move some of this.
Yeah, let's go with that. I think it's very complicated. I think it's very sketchy. I don't want to speak on and taking it out of context, but it's still like, I feel like there should be some accountability here.
It is, and that's what's ultimately scary. Because just like any other
The
blue collar
girl,
criminal,
have you seen the girl?
yeah,
The Who looks like a child almost.
yeah,
I don't know too much about that, but she's also being in trouble too of knowing about this, but not sharing this
yeah.
with the investors.
So, because you get this, even though he's a Christian evangelist, he lived in the Bahamas in a mansion with his
Mhm.
polycule of 10 people. So he's in a relationship with 9 other people. Okay. And so you ready for my woke politics? I was dying laughing, especially as someone who like participates in these styles of relationships, blah, blah, blah. Don't need to get deep. So he's in the polycule and he's on record in an interview about 5 years ago. He said the most healthy dynamics for being in a polyamorous relationship is for everyone to be hyper aware of their position in the power structure so that everyone can be happier as you fight for attention and position within your relationships.
Oh, that's some survivor stuff.
Imagine being in that's
What happens?
cutthroat, bro.
So what happens if the other people vote them off? Do they just get off the island or something?
No, they go down for corporate espionage with the rest of the cult as they were mismanaging a 26 billion dollar industry. $26 billion is what's floating in the ether right now.
Why aren't we getting that?
So, tying into that money in the ether, I got my last question. We'll move it on to the next section in the summaries. You think crypto's whack. I know you don't like it. I respect that. I'm not mocking that opinion. But
not,
because you
would be the
do,
one who laughed at by chat. No, not me.
a lot of these people who lost their money just innocently had it in the funds. Like they weren't some skis ball. They just had it in the stock trading funds, right? And when it went down, they can't access it. They lost a dickload of money. Do you feel bad for them at all? Is there anybody in this situation that you feel bad for?
The investors, I feel bad
Okay.
for them, right? But like, I don't think they're gonna get their money back. If we can remember the good old days of 2008 when the housing market crashed, who got their money back? Who made the money back? Did the investors, did the homeowners make that money back? No. Wells Fargo, a guy named Barack Obama, bailed out the banking in industry. So I think it could be the same deal here. Actually, no, never mind. The government wants to stay away from.
Yeah, they won't. They won't. But at the same time, you'll be bailed out by private investors. Blah 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 blah. The other crypto exchanges will ideally hold it up because they all have interests in making the market still live. But ultimately, it's like, yeah, this guy just corralled $26 billion and fumbled the bag. And it shows how easy an unregulated market could create a disruption, because that quickly you can generate that much money if you've got the right scheme.
Yeah. But I think it's just like this is like a poison for the government to be attached to. So I think the private sector will do what it's going to do here and eat it up, and then it'll just absorb it, and then those people may get some money back, or may just go around the same carousel ride all over again, and then the next friggin' what do you call it, the exchange will collapse on itself because nobody's watching this. Nobody's not regulated. If this was I don't fuck crypto. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to exist. Money ain't real. It is not real.
Yeah, because it's like if the SEC was in their books like they should have been, and not lacking because it's a dying agency, then they ideally would have caught that none of the books made any fucking sense. Because that's the biggest thing that came out after this, is like none of it wasn't hidden. Like it was just a mess. And because there was no tax body in there being like, what's good, they just fumbled the bag.
Yeah. But also it shouldn't exist. Crypto shouldn't really exist. There's literally no point to it. It's what country? Ecuador was the first crypto only country to use crypto, and then they went back and started using their own the original money, right? Because crypto wasn't working. It was still,
I guess.
It was still doing what normal money was doing, and making poor people poor and making rich people richer, but doing it quicker.
Exactly. But the thing is, it's also unstable, and that was you could get into a political argument because that was also America sponsored. America funded them to get into it, but blah 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 blah. Don't need to get that nerdy. Inevitably, it's a cycle that has repeated itself. Like you're right, you're very right. You brought up the housing market. I'm seeing other people bring it up. It's like something that the cycle's going to keep going over and over because people are going to borrow against options of whatever the latest scheme is. So whether it's stocks or gold or crypto or NFTs, there is always going to be another way to leverage potential income and create another one of these pyramids ready to fucking get knocked over.
Yeah. We should do, I don't, and that's going to open up another can of worms. Is money real? Is it not? I mean, or is it? So,
not once you reach 100 million plus, money isn't real.
Money isn't
Once you have
really
over $100 million, you can make up money.
Yeah. Essentially.
You can just pretend.
Yeah.
So
That's what Elon's doing. Look at his
if
company.
it's 100% what Elon's doing, it's what Putin's doing, it's what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
So we got to summarize back to our first topic. We talked biopics, how it's worn out, how we can't deal with this shit no more. I just wanted to summarize one last one. We did kind of go off about it before, so I'm going to go with just the last question. Is what could you change about the patterns that you found in biopics to make it more palatable?
To say what you were saying, to not do a hero's journey, because not every person has a hero's journey. Not everybody can be the great Nelson Mandela, right? Not everybody's thing has the same sort of like up and coming. Like you can be like have a great start and then get worse as time goes on, right? Like you addiction and all that stuff that actually can be portrayed artistically. Doing it differently, not being like a typical movie where there has to be acts, because you're talking about a person's life.
Yeah.
People's lives don't really have acts, they have moments. Talk about those moments. How about that?
I never noticed that Narcos falls into that category until you just mentioned it, like the tragic tale of Pablo Escobar, and it gets slowly worse rather than better.
Yes, that's a good one too. They all do. All of the Narcos.
Guys. I like those ones. I watch those ones a lot. But I digress. I do agree with you overall. I definitely feel you that we need to balance out the feelings, that we need to get Raza his own biopic as well.
Yeah, it'll be like the Fast and Furious mixed in with Cranked.
Who plays you in your biopic?
I want to say that's a good one. I want to say, have you seen the movie The Kingsman?
Yeah.
That guy.
The Kingsman guy.
That guy played the main guy, the main English guy.
Yeah.
You pissed me.
It will be like the King's Speech. He has to like work through his stutter and then deal with your mother.
Not that one. Kingsman.
I know, you're just tying them together though. He's got to be you at the end of the day. You can have Taron Egerton play you, but Taron still has to be you in the biopic. And I think if you don't have any, it's part of your personality.
So Colin Firth needs to play me because he did the stuttering well in
Colin Firth.
King's
Okay.
Speech. Yeah, Colin Firth in King's Speech.
Ironically, he's also in the Kingsman.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So he can do both. He could do both. Is this the reference that I was missing? Did I blow the joke after all of that? I blew the joke. Fuck. Then good reference, Raza. My bad.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that movie again tonight. The Golden Compass is like a fucking timeline. Is a good movie.
Golden Circle. The Golden Compass is the weird one with the polar bears.
But I knew I got it wrong. I was like, wait, that sounds wrong. Golden Compass is a good movie too. It has Daniel Craig, Nicole Kidman,